They are heading back to the Championship, but unfortunately heading back with their tails between their legs.
If you want a scapegoat, you're looking at him. Blame me, because I got no problem with that.
It's become pretty grim.
I got it badly wrong. Absolutely got it badly wrong, and I'm not embarrassed to admit that.
I have to be self-critical when you finished on the bottom of the table.
It's going to be very interesting to see how this squad reacts.
What's the best way to fix this? By getting back on and sorting it out.
After the disappointment of how the Premier League season ended for Norwich City, the emotion visibly in the air, but yet the stand's empty, and instead of rebounding around the stadium, it just kind of evaporated out of Carrow Road.
What's happened is reality's hit, that we've got relegated in a league that we should have got relegated from. When, you know, if you think we've gone to war without a gun, and guess what, we've got shot.
It was very bullish, and it almost set the tone, I felt, for what was to come over that summer in terms of the scale of the rebuild.
It was a pathetic end to the season, hence why there were a lot of disgruntled fans, and you know, naturally we're in this day and age where you lose 2 games on the spin and people are calling the manager's head.
Now what we need to do is make sure that if we ever get the opportunity to get back there, that we're fully armed up.
When many clubs would have opted to sack him, Norwich City stood by Daniel Farke.
Clear, you know, we want Daniel to stay. What he's done for this club is unbelievable. You know, I've said it before, you know, I'm not sure the club looks like it does today without him at the helm.
I like the way that since Stuart Webber has come to the club, he's had faith in Daniel Farke, and a very, very wise choice.
And this was to be a summer like no other this club has seen before, with doors closed, turnstiles shut, and expectations still as high as ever. Because in August, every team expects that they're going to win the league, but for Norwich City, those were very genuine ambitions amongst supporters. But hidden amongst all of that was keeping the disappointment away and making sure this season contained numerous good times.
They use the phrase a hangover when you come down a lot, but it is true. It is hard to get a season like we had in the Premier League last time around out your system quickly. You've got to be a good enough team to then regather, regroup, potentially lose some key players, and then come back again. That is so difficult, and not many teams manage to do it.
It isn't easy at all by any stretch of the imagination. The different dynamics of the personalities involved, the wants, the needs, the desires of the different players. Ones perhaps that might think, well, I've had a little sniff of the Premier League, do I really want to go back to the Championship and give it another go?
It was difficult to see at the time how they were going to turn around their mentality more than anything, and how were they going to turn around that losing mentality to become a winning one.
The biggest challenge you have when you come down is if you have a squad of players who has got older in the Premier League, who has lost a little bit of that hunger, who can't quite get themselves back up for the fight again.
The vultures are circling your best young players because all of a sudden there's this idea that you can get them a lot cheaper. Where most teams go wrong is not dealing with it, not managing that. And I think that's what Norwich did so well, both in terms of Farke's statements to the press, the strong management, and the matter-of-factness. Like, if they're not ready to play and if they're not buying into the team ethos and ethic, then they won't play.
Yeah, I always had a fair bit of confidence that Stuart Webber would get it right in the Championship. I think him and Daniel Farke were proven at that level. A lot of the squad were proven at that level.
We're not selling players on the cheap because, you know, we need good players and we need good characters to try and help us get back up.
The foundations for that transition last summer were laid over the previous 2 or 3 years. I think without that, it would have been much harder to do it last summer.
Behind Norwich City's recruitment strategy was about maintaining their talent, keeping those players in the building that had contributed last time. Emi Buendia, Todd Cantwell, Max Aarons, to name a few. Of course, they did lose a couple, Ben Godfrey and Jamal Lewis.
The key thing from Norwich City's point of view was believing in the model.
Everybody said the end of last year, oh, Daniel Farke should change. I can't understand why he's trying. That's impossible. How can you change your philosophy and your style? What it means is you keep going, you start again if you lose your best players, and you keep building. And that's what that club knows how to do.
In came Jordan Hugill, Ben Gibson, Xavi Quintilla, Ollie Skip, players that would inject this squad with a winning mentality.
Everyone has to be together, everyone has to get on. But you know, you've got to be on each other to get the best out of each other.
You could tell that there was a good vibe there, that the new lads who'd come in, I remember speaking to Jordan Hugill actually out in Germany, and he was just such a bubbly character, and you thought, well, this guy's going to be really good on the pitch hopefully, but certainly in the changing room.
It was a relatively slow start to life back in the Championship for Daniel Farke's Canaries. There was less of the slick football and perhaps a bit more of the gritty just getting by, but it did start with a very important win at Huddersfield, if only to return the winning feeling to supporters and to players who had been through a very difficult and turbulent end to the Premier League campaign.
Certainly from the outside looking in, it was a case of, well, if they're going to be vulnerable, it could be early on, when they're trying to bed in a new group of players, and there is still those question marks about the manager and could they respond from relegation.
To show this character and this mentality and spirit on the first game day is outstanding.
I don't think anybody probably at that stage expected they would go on to do what they did this season.
Consistency is so difficult because of the level of competition. They're trying to do it in the right way, so the focus is on the right way. And what do I mean by right way? There are ways to win that aren't attractive, and I don't think that's the future of football.
There were still doubts over whether this revised Norwich City project could hit the same heights as what Daniel Farke's fledglings managed 2 seasons ago when they lifted the title. And yet, it was one ill-fated, grey, cold day in Rotherham that maybe kick-started Norwich City's Championship season.
It feels like a massive win, and there's no replacement for wins. And with these 3 points, we're definitely right now in a definitely good and solid position to build on.
Mario Vrancic, a man who sent these stands absolutely crazy with a sumptuous free kick against Sheffield Wednesday in the title run-in 2 years ago, replicated that feat, albeit just in front of seats and silence, as he struck against Wycombe Wanderers second with a wonderful free kick, but also a crucial winner against Birmingham City that gave Norwich City a bit more lift-off as they looked to find some form in the Championship grind.
And I think when that became clear that we weren't going to concede as many goals, with the quality we have in the final third, you thought to yourself, maybe this is going to be, this is going to be good.
I've got a lot of respect for teams that can kind of take the season by the scruff of the neck.
I think where we've been so much better this season, and what does give me encouragement going forward, is how we manage games.
Spoke so much about our efficiency and to be a bit more clinical in the final third. One little situation on this level can sometimes change the whole momentum, but all in all, today I can't really complain too much.
It's been wonderful actually to see a club go, no, we believe in this guy. I don't care what people are saying about him being naive in the Premier League. We're sticking with him.
And it still takes a masterclass to keep people happy, to keep them believing, to actually talk about this is how we want to play.
There have been moments of great quality, but actually the steel of this team, that's something different.
Where he's adjusted is pretty slight. It's an adjustment to be a bit more pragmatic, and that was foresight, wasn't it? That was experience from what he knew of the Championship.
November was the period that unsung heroes began to come to the fore. Tim Krul hobbled out with a nasty injury against Stoke, and maybe in his mind sent fears that his career would go back in the direction it did a few seasons prior to joining Norwich City.
There was an audible intake of breath, I think, because, not only in terms of his performance level, as an individual, but the impact he had on the rest of this team.
Michael McGovern, an international goalkeeper, a man who spent large portions of his Norwich City career watching from the bench, was propelled into the limelight. A sumptuous Teemu Pukki volley helped Norwich City on their way to win that, but it wasn't without controversy. Starman Emi Buendia, of course, getting his first of 2 red cards of the campaign. But Norwich City scraped through, they ground out a result, and as the old adage goes, if you can do it on a cold midweek night in Stoke, then you're probably a decent side.
I'll never forget, we got a great picture in our archive. You know, Daniel Farke has gone straight to Michael McGovern at the final whistle, has embraced him, and you could just see that in terms of moments within the season, that was a big moment.
An injury crisis threatened to throw Norwich City off course. It even led to Marco Stiepermann, the man who once said he was born to score goals, leading the line against Coventry City. But still, Norwich City found results, even amidst adversity. They kept having obstacles being placed in front of them, and they kept leaping over them fairly emphatically.
We thought the injury crisis in the Premier League was bad, didn't we? And then we were met with an even bigger one in the autumn of the Championship. And yeah, to come through those games, these sort of odd goal wins, it's huge, really, wasn't it?
The Championship is absolutely brutal. The number of games, the players, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, and to keep churning out results.
The Championship chucks up plenty of obstacles, so many things that make your job as a manager difficult, suboptimal, if you will, the schedule being one of them. The general level of the squad has been so high, and I think that's really impressive.
The way those players dug deep when there were 10 plus players unavailable, that was really impressive, the way they managed to tee up the title success from that point onwards, really.
At the time, you were just glad to sort of scrape a win out of these games. But looking back, that was the sort of the foundation of this brilliant run that we went on.
And this was the time, of course, that fans returned back to this very stand in which I'm sat. Spurred on by those 2,000 fans, Norwich City turned the game on its head. First an equaliser from an academy graduate, a sight that's become all too familiar at this club since Daniel Farke and Stuart Webber arrived. Josh Martin, this time the man on the end of a wonderful Mario Vrancic pass. And then a winner from Norwich City's other academy graduate, Max Aarons, weaving past numerous players before firing a low shot into the back of the net. The jubilation in this stand was clear to see, and Norwich City were quietly beginning to rise up the Championship table. The numbers behind Teemu Pukki's Norwich City career is staggering, especially as many people like to add he was a free transfer, and that is a point that cannot be stressed enough when discussing the Finnish international. He's of course a superstar at home, but it's in Norfolk where he's currently making his name, and he scored his 50th goal for the club in 100 appearances, that hitting that record of 1 in 2 that strikers aim for so desperately, and he did that away at Blackburn. A day where fake crowd noise was pumped through the speakers, and Norwich City were at the free-flowing best in the Northwest.
He is such a cool player, you know, and in that final third when it matters, he very rarely doesn't produce.
How on earth does he keep scoring that many goals in exactly the same way?
Talent that you got there is incredible, and how you kept them happy when the rumours were that they were going to be sold and then they weren't. That's a masterclass, a masterstroke.
It's been great to see him back to his best and enjoying himself and smiling.
Teemu Pukki doesn't seem to have that hesitancy. He misses a chance, gets up, picks himself up and gets on with it.
It's when he just plays on his instincts, his natural goal-scoring instincts.
Because his movement's that good, because the ball into him's that good, because it's a split second that where you think, if you are a defender, I've got him, then where's he go? And he's borne a lot of responsibility, not just domestically, but internationally. He's a megastar.
And as has been the case in the last 18 months, we were back to eating turkey in lockdown, and Norwich City's festive period was a little bit bumpy to say the least. A defeat at Luton and then a Boxing Day defeat at Watford meant Hertfordshire wasn't a particularly happy hunting ground.
It's the Championship. We all know, 2 seasons ago, Norwich didn't have it all their own way, and there were periods when you are tested as an individual, as a group of players, as Daniel Farke and his coaching staff.
Sadly, I have to confirm 2 new cases of corona for players. That means together with Tim Krul and Adam Eder, we have meanwhile 4 positive tested players, and all 4 are not available for the game.
With Tim Krul out feeling the effects of COVID, Norwich City were left searching in their reserve again, and this time it was an opportunity for third choice goalkeeper Dan Barden, a 19-year-old Welsh youth international who was tasked with travelling to the country he represents to make his first league start for the club, and he didn't look out of place at all, helping as Norwich City beat Neil Harris's side 2-1 at the Cardiff City Stadium. No matter how much quality you have on the pitch, the fear with the Championship is that once you begin to do well, once you begin to get a little bit of momentum behind you, it has an awful habit of just catching you on the chin, and that's something that Norwich City experienced. It had all been fairly plain sailing despite several obstacles being placed in their way. Enter Neil Warnock and a very fierce Middlesbrough side intent on stifling Norwich City's creative forces. Emi Buendia frustrated, he saw red, and Norwich City were left down to 10 men. And that Middlesbrough nut proves too difficult for Norwich City to crack.
That was a watershed moment. That week you referenced, Middlesbrough here at Carrow Road, Emi Buendia gets sent off rather harshly, I think we all agree now, and struggled to break down a very stubborn Middlesbrough team, and then ditto at Millwall, I think, in midweek.
Never want to look too far ahead because we're Norwich supporters and we've been there before. But I mean, a blip was a defeat and 2 draws, wasn't it?
Gary Rowett's defensively resilient Lions usually played throughout this season games on fine margins, and Norwich City encountered that when they went to London. Dimitris Giannoulis, a left-back who arrived from sunny Greece, must have been wondering what had hit him when he entered the pitch. That run culminated with a defeat to promotion-chasing Swansea in Wales, as Norwich City really felt the full effects of Buendia's suspension as they lacked attacking creativity.
Given Swansea were, really chasing them down hard at that point, I think they momentarily lost leadership of the division for a few days. Brentford overtook them, but that was the moment. I think if you're a Norwich fan, you're thinking it's going to get a bit tight now.
That was probably not the worst performance of the season, but the flattest performance of this season.
The question on everyone's lips was this a repeat of what we'd seen from sides like Leeds United 2 seasons ago? Was this a promotion campaign beginning to derail, or could Norwich City get their ship back on course?
And I think that would have just been a real reminder and a lesson to anyone, A, doubting Norwich, and B, thinking that the rest of this division was anywhere near the standard that Norwich was setting, because it was just an absolute, it was just incredible, wasn't it?
Buendia's run sparked a Norwich City resurgence on the pitch. Timu Pukki broke his goal-scoring duck, and Norwich City began to look back to their best under Daniel Farke. This was a win that would kickstart a record-equalling 9 straight victories in the Championship.
Literally, the foot went back on the accelerator. I think they won 9 or 10 on the spin, and basically broke the will of those teams, the Brentfords and the Swanseas.
I think the nerves wound the players up a little bit, actually, and I think the praise for Brentford when they took top spot really jarred them off.
It's the chemistry, it's the alchemy of what Daniel's done. He's set the standard for every single player to attain, and I think the best managers managed to do that.
And in a way, it pulled them even tighter. And then when you get the Championship's best player drop back in, his suspension is over, and you can kick on again as they did in absolute style with the winning streak, well, I think that's sort of proof is in the pudding, isn't it?
Important for us to have Emi Buendia available. He was there with a goal and 2 assists.
It just underlines why Daniel Farke is such a brilliant manager, because he has got this team ticking again. He somehow found a way to say, right, forget about last season, get that out of your system and let's go again. And my goodness, they've gone again.
they've bounced back quickly. We've never had a bad run of form.
But I don't think any of us expected us to just sort of accelerate away from the pack.
I would buy a ticket to watch you lot any day of the week.
I don't think there's any doubting that Norwich have some brilliant players. But in many respects, the key to this season has been defensively how strong Norwich have been.
Gibson, I'm not surprised, has been excellent because I think he's just class.
Grant Hanley deserves a massive, massive high five. For me, he's your captain, and he's absolutely earned that right. Absolutely well done. How many mistakes has he made this season?
Grant Hanley has been like Beckenbauer at times, but this seems to be the best season he's ever had as a player, and he's going to go on and play in the Euros.
It was across, but you watch him very rarely out of position, very rarely caught out, plays the game in front of him, works the players around him, and he's got that in his locker to get himself out of trouble.
I can't think of a single mistake he's made this season. I can't think of any strikers that I've noticed get the better of him, and he's just been absolutely excellent.
There was no dominant team in the league, according to some, but when Brentford rocked up at Carrow Road in front of the TV cameras, an Emi Buendia masterclass ensured that they swept away their promotion rivals, and what a wonderful strike it was. So that left to Thomas Frank conceding promotion after the game, but Daniel Farke was remaining much more level-headed.
I want to say congratulations to Norwich. They will 100% get promoted. I can't see them blow this one.
It's not a guarantee anyhow that it will happen. Happy to keep going. We have to work, and we have to win some more points in order to achieve what we want to achieve.
It was almost a defeated tone to his comments, I thought, and that was probably a reflection of how dominant Norwich were that day. Because make no mistake, as I said a little bit earlier there, Brentford looked to be putting down a serious challenge.
Not that easy to keep churning wins at Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday. And to be fair to the players, I thought that was an enormous game. Just, put Brentford back in the place.
They were clicking in the way that they've been threatening to throughout the season, really.
That was the night for me when you walk away from that game and you think, yeah, this is Norwich's for the taking, because really Brentford didn't lay a glove on them that night.
In the grand scheme of things, it felt like a seismic Norwich City win, and one that if this place was full would have been spoken about for years to come.
The way that they just motored through teams and kept that balance between defence and attack, but started taking a few more chances, you started to see that teams were then becoming worried to play Norwich, and we were starting to talk about, are they going to be champions from that point onwards? Brentford went into a funny patch, didn't they? They got to the top of the table after, a 21-game unbeaten run, and then once they got there, they couldn't handle the pressure. And Daniel Farke took great pride in saying several times, didn't he, that Norwich can handle that pressure. That doesn't worry them. They want to be the leaders. They want to have teams chasing them.
And despite the positivity and sometimes brilliance of their performance, Norwich never really managed to blow a side away, never really managed to amass a high number of goals against an opponent until Huddersfield Town arrived at Carrow Road. This was a night where Emi Buendia, Todd Cantwell, Teemu Pukki, Kieran Dow, you could name 1 to 11, all performed unbelievably well. Well, for Teemu Pukki, remarkably, it was his first championship hat-trick. Emi Buendia starred, 3 assists, 1 goal. This was a night where it looked like Norwich City were really having fun on their way back to the Premier League, and they were earning rave reviews, and suddenly people outside of Norfolk were beginning to sit up and pay attention.
I think the 7-0 was always coming. There's been a lot of games where in fairness, Norwich City haven't taken the chances. Somebody absolutely had that coming.
There are lots of clubs who try and play in the same way as Norwich. Very few of them succeed. Very few of them stick by their guns when things are going wrong. So in terms of the coaching and the player development, the tactical development of this side, it's just been a 10 out of 10 job.
I take my hat off to Daniel. Not only did he manage to navigate losing his better players, he's kept some of them, kept them happy, and they're flourishing, playing even better, you know. So, but also he's managed to do it at the most difficult time ever, without your wonderful supporters there.
It was okay, wasn't it? So of course I was convinced that we could deliver such a performance, also such a result. Today everything came together, top class performance, effectiveness, greediness also to keep going till the last second.
The Championship Player of the Season and Norwich City Player of the Season, Emi Buendia, has waved his magic wand across the Championship this season.
The thing that sums it up best for me, which I was certainly saying quite early in the season, and a lot of people were, is that he's too good for the Championship. He shouldn't have been playing in the Championship this season.
Emi Buendia, we have witnessed arguably the most talented player ever to wear the green and yellow.
Works hard out of possession. There's not a lot wrong with him. He's such a talented player. There will be clubs in for him. Norwich have to try and pull out all the stops to keep him.
Farke and Buendia, they're a class act, and I think when we look back on this period in many years to come, those two names we'll always think about, you know, the way they combined and just the way they tore up this league.
Most assists in the Championship, best goal scoring season of his career.
You could almost say he's been the talisman, certainly in attacking terms, and he's fulfilled his potential. We've seen a player really coming into his own and knowing his game and showing some leadership with the young players at times as well.
Results didn't go in the favour Norwich City may have hoped. That would mean that they could clinch promotion against Derby, although a sublime Kieran Dow free kick was enough to secure victory at least. That moved things on to the next Saturday, where Norwich City found themselves in the weird position of being promoted before they'd even kicked a ball, as they kicked off at 8 o'clock on Saturday night against Bournemouth. And that occasion at Carrow Road became a bit more like a promotion party than a football match.
Yeah, I think probably it's the best loss in my life, you know.
We are the best team of this league, and yeah, we just need to finish it in style. There's still games to go, but yeah, we'll think about those tomorrow.
I'm going to ask whether the team are going to celebrate tonight, but we can hear them in the background that the celebration started. Go. Emi's off, joining the fun. Why not?
We are Premier League, we are Premier League. We are Premier League, we are Premier League.
It's amazing. It was a really tough season for everyone, but we achieved this thing and get promoted again is brilliant for everyone.
The best league in the world. I'm really happy to be back.
Lads were fantastic and they deserve all the praise, and yeah, for that they are also allowed tonight to celebrate.
Norwich City had an opportunity to clinch the title against Reading at Carrow Road, wearing special shirts dedicated to the supporters. The aim was to wrap up 3 points and get their hands on the Championship title again. The Royals were in a party-pooping mood, but they were unable to stop Norwich City once they hit top gear. It was celebrations all round. The champagne corks were popped, the champions' banners unfolded, and fans even were allowed to share the moment with players outside. It was a magical moment. It was a moment of celebration after a season of hard graft and utter dominance from the Canaries.
We're deserved champions. I don't think anybody can take that away from us. We've worked tirelessly. I think we've been the best team.
turn it around as a squad, to believe in the style of play, believe in each other, I think is the big win of this season, is that we stuck by the whole process.
I would love, as a player, to be able to play for Daniel Farke.
What I love about Norwich is the way they've stuck with him, because I think Stuart Webber knows exactly what Daniel Farke brings to the club, because he works with him day in, day out.
And if you are a club like Norwich, you need a coach who's going to have a vision and a method which can infuse throughout the club.
Very thoughtful, he seems very measured and calm.
It's been fantastic to see the way that he's evolved and adjusted, with the key thing being that Daniel hasn't changed the whole way through. He is exactly the same as he was in his first season when they finished 14th. He was throughout the first title-winning season, and even when things got very, very rough, a club record, 10 successive defeats, he still didn't really lose his cool.
I'm totally convinced of this club, of our unity, and if I'm honest, so my blood is already pretty yellow.
I'm grateful to have such a coach. I think for my career, it's really Daniel, the best coach that I ever had. There's no one else.
He don't show anything, any worry, which is unlike all of us, isn't it? You know, most of us end up getting too over the top.
I love the fact that he's such a calm figure in the dugout, while others are flailing their arms around and shouting at the players. He's a man of few words.
What has been so fascinating about this team is seeing the way in which the coaching method and the style of play which Daniel has championed has become something which over time all the players have become champions of and become brilliant at. And that's only possible because the foundations have been built on over a number of years.
We've even heard Pep talk about how much he likes watching Norwich and how they go about the game.
He's still young, you know, I mean, he can still step up and go to one day to train maybe Real Madrid.
My advice to him is just carry on. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing, and I think you should all be very, very proud of it. I know you get ups and downs in life, but without the downs, you don't know how good the ups are, do you?
I think we'll look back in a few years' time, or several years' time, and think of the Daniel Farke era, and that'll be like this sort of magical, mystical time that we enjoyed as Norwich supporters.
I have such an emotional bond also to this place, to the city, to this community, to this support. And I have to say, from the first day, there was so much support and so much trust and also so much goodwill anyhow. And I will be forever grateful and thankful.
In a week that saw Norwich City preparing for their final championship game of the season at Oakwell against Barnsley, the club announced that two of their long-serving midfielders would depart the club in the summer at the end of their respective contracts. Mario Vrancic has provided such magic moments during his time at the club. And then there was Alex Tettey, a man out of contract after 9 years of service to Norwich City.
It was a bit surreal feeling because both are big legends of the club. Mario created so many magic moments, so many magic nights, and Alex Tettey, what a legend, what a guy he is.
Everybody out there should look at what Norwich are doing and give it massive well done.
I love the club, I love the county of Norfolk. I'm here forever.
Every player likes to be loved, and if somebody gives you that lease of life and believes in you, I mean, that's for me, that's what I thrive on.
I moved to Norwich, I find my girlfriend, I have a baby here, and for me it's just with football and everything, how the area is. The people are lovely, the city is nice, the club is fantastic, like there's nothing to complain, like really I'm very, very happy here.
I think we'll look back at it and go, gosh, that was a hell of a team to watch. You know, watching the likes of Pookie and Buendia and Cantwell and so many others in their absolute pomp, producing this wonderful, flowing, pulsating football. I wasn't there to see it. And I think there will always be that tinge of sadness. So it's going to be kind of, two things in parallel. Just the glorious memories of a wonderful season with the kind of shucks, but I was never there. And I can't tell my grandkids about the night I sat there and watched us pump Huddersfield 7-0.
It's been horrible, frankly, for everyone involved. Nobody wants it. It's been enforced on the game for reasons that are completely out of control of football. It's been a surreal period of life that we'll all talk about for many years to come, unfortunately, for mainly bad reasons.
It's been a little bit heartbreaking to think all this really good stuff has been happening and we're not there to see it. Oliver Skipp could play a whole season. He'll never really sort of feel the level of Carrow Road. He'll never experience that.
The football, I think, been really important to all of us. I think this season, I think all of us have been looking forward to the games, and they seem to keep coming, every few days. And so I think it's really helped lots and lots of people get through what's been a really difficult time.
Hollow is the word that sums it up best for me. As good as all the good moments have been this year, it just doesn't really feel the same. It doesn't matter as much without the fans there.
Magic days and magic nights when you think, okay, if there would be a full packed Kill Road, the stadium would have been exploded.
Norwich City are famous for lots of things. The colours of their shirt, Delia Smith in the director's box, Daniel Farke's title winners on the Carrow Road pitch. But when people think about this grand stadium, they think about it full. Come what may, that has always been the case, regardless of division. Whether it's been against Stockport County in League One or beating Manchester City in the Premier League, every seat in this place, all 27,000 of them, have been full. And that is not always the case at some East Anglian clubs. Yet this season, Norwich City have had to do it differently. They've had to do it in this setting, in this sterile environment. They've had to find the mentality, the drive, the togetherness to win football matches. As fans have watched from home, celebrating every goal, every kick in the same way they would if they were in their seat. This has been different. Norwich City have had to rely on talent rather than togetherness. They have had to rely on individual quality rather than on-the-ball City. Nonetheless, supporters have still been able to watch every kick, to celebrate every goal.
I think it's testament to this side that they, even without the baying fans of the Barclay, the ground full, have produced this standard of football without that extra percentage that a big crowd, a noisy crowd brings.
I hope we gave them good times this year, and especially now when we're back in the Premier League where we should be, and I can't wait to play in front of these fans again.
Hello. As a Norwich fan and an very bad director, I just wanted to send you all my love and congratulations, and above all, my thanks. Every one of you, the players of course, but also the staff behind the players, everybody who contributed to making this season one of the most remarkable in our storied history. I have to confess, I have never seen us playing so well. Together, what a team, what spirit, what comradeship, what smiles, what laughter, what communication, what silky running, what brilliant anticipation, everything at the back and at the front. I've never seen Norwich this wonderful. And it has made a difference to the miseries of lockdown, I can tell you, for all fans. We have been so excited to watch this. And you can tell because all those friends of ours who follow other football clubs have been sending us grudging congratulations over the last few days. Actually, not that grudging. Most people have been astonished by the skill and power of your play and the wonder of it. So here's to next season, and thank you all so much on the Ball City.